Hi, everybody. My name is Setrog from Finale Inventory. Today, we are excited to share some fantastic updates to make your Finale experience even better. Based on your feedback, we've added some new ways to customize your workflow and highlight the insights that matter most to you, helping you make faster, smarter, data-driven decisions. These updates include enhanced conditional formatting and more flexible options to adjust your screen just the way that you like it. Today, Jason Kwan from our business operations team will walk you through some of these new features and revisit some other old customization tools that you may not have explored yet. My other colleague Ryan will be in the Q&A and the discussion board answering your questions. Below, I'll drop two links. One link is for current customers of Finale that need additional one-on-one training with the topics that we talk about today. And the other is for people that are not yet on Finale and want to talk with an expert about solutions. Don't forget, just like all of our webinars, they are recorded and you will get a link tomorrow with the video to rewatch or share with your team. Thanks so much, and I'll pass things off to Jason now.
Well, thank you, Satrog, for the handoff. And so we're going to get rolling today. So I'm going to share my screen so we all have a background to look at. And today we're going to start another episode of our webinar series of Beyond the Basics. So Beyond the Basics is what we love to do to dive deeper than what we're just going to see at the surface level of things. And today's theme, as Satrog already touched on, is going to be customizations. And I will tell you, customizations have a dear place in my heart. So jump into this here. So Chalk told you, my name is Jason Kwan, and so I work on the client solutions team, and I've been here since 2021. And I will tell you, over that course of time, I've seen how powerful the customizations can be for each and every individual account. They really tailor things to be for you. I don't know if anybody's ever had a tailored piece of garment, but it's a tremendous difference that it feels on you. You feel confident, and it makes you feel just so unbelievably ready to just tackle the world. And that's what we want to do with the software. And today we're going to be covering a couple things, and I have it highlighted in our agenda. And we're going to go through four different areas. First, we're going to talk about why the customizations matter for your business. Then we're going to highlight some of the key customization features in Finale. And then I'm going to give you a live demonstration, followed by a Q&A where you guys can roll in through some of your questions. And now jumping right into this, why do customizations matter? Now, our first reason is going to be is it's going to tailor the data to help your decision making. And why does that matter? I don't know if you've ever seen data just kind of out there. It is just mindless scrolling, and you just scroll to just find exactly what you're looking for. And with the Finale features, we're able to take that and give you more insightful, not even data, but give you more insightful actions looking at the data, which in turn is going to improve your decision making and then going to make your business more successful in the end. The next is going to be our enhanced workflow and efficiency. So I will tell you, efficiency is so important to your business. And our customizations are what going to drive that efficiency. I have a background in industrial engineering, and let me tell you, when you could save a team member 5 minutes every single day over the course of the year, that's going to be 20 hours of time that you have saved them. And then when you're saving that time, not only that, you're saving yourself money and you're making your team more productive. And that's just one team member. All of a sudden, you put that down to five team members, and all of a sudden, you just saved 100 hours over the course of the year. Imagine what you could do when you look back over the course of the year if you had 100 additional hours of manpower. Then we're going to jump on to our next one, and that's going to be better branding and communication. Now, I don't know if you've ever received an email or you got any kind of packing slip or invoice, and it just is a few lines and there's nothing to it. It doesn't really build trust with you. It just seems like a document they printed on Microsoft Word. Well, our customizations allow for you to have professional, customized documentation that you could have with internal and external partners, which is fantastic for building that trust and building long-term relationships. Then we're going to jump into, scalability and adaptability. You want the customizations you have in Finale to help you grow, and that's what they're going to do. Whether it's going to be from the data you're looking at, the decision making, or from the branding, they're all going to help you scale and grow over time. And all the insights you're going to get from the scaling, if you need to make a pivot, is also going to make you more adaptable and agile, which is going to help you in the long run. Now, as we kind of go through this next section here, we're going to be covering through some of the customization features inside of Finale. And as we start to grow through these customizations, I want you to think about some of the gaps that you have within your business. What the customizations are fantastic for doing, they're fantastic for helping you answer questions that you at the end of the day need an answer to or want a faster answer to, and that's what they're going to do. And each one of these customizations not only is a standalone feature, but they all could be layered on top of each other to really tailor the system to be exactly what you need. And so now we're going to jump into our first feature. And this is going to be one of our newer features, and this is going to be our custom views. Now, the custom views are fantastic for giving your team role specific insights. And there's the reason you want to do that is because if I'm on the sales team, I don't necessarily need to know what the purchasing team is, or if I'm on the inventory team, I don't necessarily need to know what's going on the sales team. And then what we're going to be able to do is we're going to be able to customize their specific views so they can see it, data to them that matters. And now when you're looking at data that matters, you no longer have to scroll through data that doesn't matter. And this is where you're going to start to see yourself saving time. And then when you're saving time, this is then we're going to help you streamline your workflows. And not only is it going to save you money at the end of the day, but it's also going to make your team members happy because, well, I don't like doing stuff and scrolling through things that are not useful to me. And so that's one of the things we're aiming to do with the custom views. And just with a click of a button, you can rotate between those departments or if you need to. Now jumping into our next feature. So this is our newest feature, and this is conditional formatting. And I will tell you, this is slowly becoming one of my new and favorite features that we have to offer. And what it does at the very base is it highlights information that is really important to you, right? That is going to be not only important, but also going to drive any decision that you may need to have or highlight any actionable decision you may need to do. And what we do is we build that based upon a logical idea, saying, okay, if this happens, I want to know that this is going to be here. And we're going to be able to use that to then keep you from having to scroll through and make that decision on your own. Because I don't know if you've ever seen just a plain white sheet of data and you're scrolling through there and you're looking for that single number. It just takes a bit of time. And what the conditional formatting is going to take that away. And then it's going to allow for it to just jump off the page. Very similar to what you're seeing here. The color just automatically jump to you and automatically make you want to move into a specific decision. Then next, we're going to jump into probably one of our older, a little bit older one of our features, and this is going to be our custom fields. So this is fantastic for capturing data that we're not already capturing. And we're able to capture a few different things. And what we're aiming to capture are details that are specific to your business because no two businesses are going to be the same. And so what we want to do is we want to capture unique details for you. Now, if I'm a clothing business and we're looking at our products, one of the things that I want to know is like I want to know how many t-shirts I not only how many t-shirts I sold, but what color were those t-shirts, what size were those t-shirts, and what material were they made out of. That's going to give me tremendous insights that I'm going to be able to leverage later down the line when I'm running reports to see how are those specific products doing. And these custom fields aren't limited to just the purchasing side. I mean, just the product level side. You could use them on the sales order side. Let's imagine that you have a wholesale side of your business and you have sales reps. Imagine you could have a drop down list selected there where you could select the sales rep and then be able to say, okay, this was my sales order. And then at the end of the quarter, you could say, okay, let's see what the sales that Jason did and see how he did, whether you need to check performance or you need to get on the commission side. Then additionally from there, we also have it on the purchasing side as well. Imagine you could put a date box on there where you could see, okay, I know that my container left the manufacturer on this date, and then we'll be able to use that data later down the line to see, okay, this is when I actually received it, and then be able to really drill down on when your lead days were. So then you can then have accurate supply chain metrics. And now jumping into our last one. So this is one of my favorites, and this is another one that's kind of close to the heart, and this is going to be our custom reporting. And so our custom reporting has two primary sides to it. We have our documentation side and we have our reporting side. Our reporting side is fantastic for using the data that we're already capturing within the system to help you identify trends that are then going to help you make decisions. And then on the opposite side, we have our documentation. So this is where you're going to get into the branding side. This is where you're going to have labels, invoices, sales orders, have your specific branding and be able to share those documents either internally or externally. And there's going to be fantastic for whatever you need to make happen there. And those are going to be the reporting agent and some of the key features that we had. And even talking through the features, they're not as standalone, you can use them all. But as you layer them together, that's when you're truly going to feel the tailoring of the system. And now what we're going to do is we're going to get into the demonstration of some of these features. And as I start to go through these demonstrations, one of the things I want you guys to think about is, how can I use these? Or maybe if you're thinking about one that you want to implement yourself, if you don't have the time right now, you can contact us, service@finaleinventory.com, and we can help you walk you through the stages of getting through this going. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to jump into our demonstration. And I'm going to pop this over here. All right, and now looking here, so this is the Finale homepage, and this is where you can navigate anywhere inside of Finale. And if you've never been here before, this is where we always start and begin with. And now what we're going to do is now we're going to do our first action, and we're going to do our custom fields. And you can find all of your custom fields within our application settings. And our application settings are going to be over here in our top right corner, and then we're going to select application settings. And so this is going to take us into the back end of Finale. So application settings is going to give you the back end. And so we're going to be able to find all of our custom fields here. So we're going to be able to find them in our products and our purchasing and our invoicing. And right now we're going to do a custom field for our product level. So we're going to go ahead and select our product tab. And then we're going to scroll down to our custom fields. And as you notice, I have two of them already set up, and now we're going to add a third. And when you go ahead, you could go ahead first, you select the data type that you're looking to select. And we could take three different data types. First one is going to be an open text where you can take any kind of text. Then we could also take a pre-populated pick list, drop-down list, or what we can do is a date box as well, all the way down at the bottom. Now, I prefer the pick list because it allows you to filter the data that you're using all across Finale. And the data we're going to be looking to add right now is going to be our flavors. So we're going to add our flavor and now what we need to do is now generate our list. And so I already have a list of flavors we'll be adding into the system. I'm going to copy this and paste it back here. So we're going to save these. And so now this is available for you to go into the product details and select it from a drop-down list. Now, if you already have if you already have the data on a spreadsheet, that's fantastic because if you've never imported into Finale, we actually don't need a really strict guidelines in terms of how we import into Finale. We could go ahead and find our spreadsheet, copy the data we want to have, and then import it into Finale. So now we're going to go to our import, and then we're going to go to products. And then this is where we're going to paste that information. And so immediately we're going to see right here that looks like our product. We're now going to select our drop down list here. Oh, it didn't save. Let me hit a back arrow. Go back to the product. We're going to go back. We're going to import the products. We're going to select from the drop down. It should be down at the bottom. I'm not seeing it there. Okay, let's see. Let's hit the back arrow one more time. Let's go back to application settings, give our page a refresh, and we're going to scroll back down here, and we're going to go ahead and retype this bad boy in. All right, we're going to save those changes there. And it looks like it's saved. Looks like our list is saved as well. And so now let's try that import again. So we're going to go back, copy our data, paste it back in. All right, boom. Now we see it here. Looks like we had a back end on my internet there. So now we're going to import these across. And now we're going to see how the system updates. And now we're going to first take a look at our view product screen. So now looking at our view product screen, we're going to have a list of products here. And looking at my product line, you can see that I sell candy. And so I have a bit of a sweet tooth. And now what you're first immediately going to notice is we're going to notice these row heights. It's not going to be so small that you're used to seeing in Finale. You're actually going to see that it's actually slightly relaxed. And we actually have the ability to now adjust the row height that you're looking at. And you could do that by going up to the blue gear, going to My Profile, and then from within My Profile, you scroll down, you're going to see these list screen display options. Now we have two different options available when we are actually going to modify what we're looking at for these lists. The first one is going to be is you could change the row colors. So very common that you're going to see is just a wall of white, which for me doesn't really work well. So I prefer our alternating colors or zebra striping. And what that's going to do is going to alternate the colors of each and every single row. Then next, you're going to be able to select the height of the rows. Compact is where you're going to see standard. That's where you're going to see the lines being very narrow. Then you have comfortable, and then you also have expanded. I prefer comfortable, and it's a little bit easier for me to look at each and every individual line. So then we're going to go ahead and click Save Changes. I'm going to refresh the screen to make sure we have the newest changes. And then now let's go take a look at our view products. So now immediately you're going to notice that the rows are a little bit more relaxed. The data is a little bit easier to see. But not only is the data easier to see, but we're also seeing data on top of each other. Now you can see that you have this product ID and description sitting on top of each other, and our supplier 1 and 2 sitting on top of each other. And what that is, those are our stack columns. And so our stack columns is also one of our newer features and is to help you see more data on one individual screen. And you could change that by going up to this here and then selecting customize my columns. And then when you're looking at your columns, you're going to be able to see this icon on top of everything. And that's telling you that these columns are stacked. If you wanted to unstack a column, you could click the gear and click unstack column from the left. And if I save the column configuration, now one, you're going to see that the rows have expanded out and the columns are no longer stacked. And so now what we're gonna do is we're going to add our three custom columns, custom fields that we just added, and we're gonna stack them on top of each other and see how you can see more data all on one screen. We're gonna go back to our drop down, select customize our columns, and then we're gonna select the gear, and then you select add column to the right. And so the first column we're gonna add is organic, and then we're going to add another one. We're gonna add low sugar, followed by our flavor. Perfect. Okay. So now we have our three columns here. And now immediately you can see that the data is spread out all across the screen, but we're going to put all three of these columns on top of each other to make it easier to view. So if I click back here to the customized columns, first thing to note is when we're stacking columns, we're always stacking our left column on top of our right. So if I click this gear here and I stack with the column onto the left, we're going to stack our low sugar on top of our flavor. And if we click this here, and then we can stack our low sugar with organic on top. And so now we save it, and now we can see all of the information spread across. Now, if you don't like the order of what they're appearing, you can come back here, customize the columns, and then you would just need to unstack them and drag them around. So if we unstack here, let's say, you know what? I want to see my flavor on top, followed by the sugar, and then we're going to stack them. So let's go ahead and stack with the left, and we save them here. And now we're going to see that the flavor is on top, followed by the sugar, and then going with the organic. And so you're going to narrow down the list and let you have more information on a single screen. Now, the reason I always suggest that we use pick lists is because it allows you to filter within various different screens. So if you go over here to your more filters, you're going to see our three custom fields available. So if I go here and I select low sugar, it's going to show me all of the candies I have that are low sugar, and it's going to filter that view for you specifically. And that's going to be our stack columns and seeing some of the custom fields in action there. Now, the next place we're going to jump into is we're going to jump into our custom views, and that's going to be on our view stock screen. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to come over here to our view stock screen, and this is where we're going to go. So the very first thing you always want to do is when you're customizing a view is you want to identify a view and then you want to duplicate it. And what I mean by identify is I identify a view that has most of the information you're looking for and then be able to customize it from there. And so right here in my main view, it has just about everything I want to see, but it doesn't have everything. And so I'm going to go back to that drop down. We're going to click duplicate our current view, and we're going to make Jason's view, and we're going to duplicate this view. And now what you're going to see is now Jason's view is available from the dropdown. And if I select the main view back, it moves with it. So we're going to go back to Jason's view, and now let's customize it. And now looking at the screen, one of the th pieces that I am missing is actually going to be our stockout column. And so I'm going to, add a column to the same filter. So we're going to customize the columns. And we're going to go add a column to the right, and we're going to look for our stockout column. And so now we found our stockout column. And I'm going to go ahead and remove this configurable part of the label. I'm going to click OK. I'm going to save this. And now what we're going to see is now we have a new column, which is fantastic. But if you want to now customize the view a little bit more, the first thing you could do is you can grab this column and drag it to where you want to move it. And what I prefer is I prefer to see my stock out next to my sales velocity. So I'm going to drag this on over. It dragged poorly there. Let me edit this one. And I think what happened is when I dragged it, I also actually expanded out the column. So what we're going to see is that to modify the column, you just have to drag it back and it'll change the shape of it for you. And now what I want to do also is this white gap that you're going to see on top. I actually don't want that because what this is looking at the top, we're looking at data that's being grouped together. And what I want to do is I want to group my stock out with my velocity column. So I'm going to go ahead and select this gear, and then we're going to click merge into our velocity group. Click this. And now that we have them all situated, and now if I want to move my velocity column all the way to the front, it is as simple as clicking and dragging. And if I save my columns, now I have the view that is perfect for me and allows for me to see the things I want to see. Now, the next portion that we're going to get into is going to be our conditional formatting. And this is where it's going to be able to highlight specific information for you. And it's the same thing. We're going to customize the column again, and we're going to click on the gear. And now we're going to go back to the edit column. And this is where we're going to go ahead and select conditional formatting. So our conditional formatting, this is where we're going to build out the logic of the formatting of what to highlight and when to highlight. So I'm not going to have you guys sit here and have me type out some code. I already have some stuff prepared for us. And so I'm going to copy what I have and I'm going to paste it on over here. And so this is a basic level conditioning code. And what you're going to see is like we're saying that, hey, if the number in this cell is greater than 50, make the background green. And if the number in this column is less than 50, make the background red. So if I click OK and I save it, now all of a sudden we have a Christmas tree. Right? It's going to be red and green, and it's going to be automatically jump off the page, right? I automatically know what's less than 50 and what's more than 50. And at a very basic level, that's going to give you some basic insights, but it doesn't give you all the insights. And I may probably want to drill down a bit more to give me even more actionable data. And so we can do that, and you can build out complex formulas. Additionally, I don't want to actually have to build out the formulas. And so at Finale, what we've done is we've actually programmed a ChatGPT bot to actually build out some of these formulas for you. And so you could find that bot by going over to our help center. And then in this section here, we're going to look for ChatGPT. And so we have Finale's conditional formatting generator. And then from there, we're going to scroll on down and we're going to click here to open up your ChatGPT. And so something to note is I use a free version, and so you could use a free version as well just for yourself. And this is going to be our bot. And so this is as simple as asking it a question. So I have a pre-prepared question so we don't have to watch me type. And what we're saying here, let me zoom in for a little bit, is I want to format my stockout column to identify when we are getting closer to zero. And as we get closer to zero, I want it to become more extreme and eye-catching. And so now the ChatGPT is going to say, okay, perfect. Let's go ahead and take a look at what these things are. And so first it's going to gather our information and wants to know, okay, what's our internal column name? And we're going to say we want our column name to be cell value. And if you don't know what your internal column name is going to be, it shows you within the conditional formatting there. So looking here, we're going to one, get the format that we want, and then it's also going to give us an explanation. So first I'm going to click copy this code, and then if I go back to Finale, click the drop down, customize the column again, click the gear, and then edit the column, and you click conditional formatting. One, you're going to see the cell value that you use here. This is going to be specific, or you can use a generic one like cell value like I just did. And so I'm going to copy this, I'm going to paste it, and then if I click OK, and save those column configurations. Now, one, no more red and whites, but you automatically know what's getting closer to zero. All right, I can see 4 days. If I scroll down, I can see 7 days. And you have a quick visibility of, okay, these are getting closer to zero. But, I want a little bit more visibility, right? As soon as it gets down to 4 days or 7 days, it's almost too late for me to do any actions. So I need a little bit more. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back to ChatGPT and we're gonna tell it that we want a bigger range. And what we're going to tell it is, I need to see a bigger range. I want to see leading up to 0 days, and I want to start at 90 days. But then I also want to know if I have more than 300 days of inventory, because there are two bad areas of inventory. You have when you're running out of inventory, and then you have stale inventory. And we want to avoid those two scenarios. And so that's what we're going to let the conditional formatting take care of. And so if I click that, boom, now it's going to go ahead and generate a new formula for us. And it does it with just a simple click. And then it also always gives you an explanation of where the logic is and what it's intending to do. And if you don't like anything of what it's saying, you just got to tell it. And so we're going to go ahead and copy this and we're going to go back to Finale and then we're going to customize that same column again. So I'm going to click the gear. I'm going to edit the column, copy it, paste it, give it a click OK, and now I'm going to save this column configuration. Now we're going to see as we are getting closer, we're getting more visibility here. Although I would say green isn't something that's going to say, hey, I need to do this, but it does draw your attention to those numbers. You can change the color scheme that you're looking for and have a little bit more visibility. And so you can have something a little bit more extreme. And so we're going to change this one here, and I'll show you one that I wrote a little earlier to give you even more visibility. And so if I click save those column configurations, now we're going to see, you can see, okay, I have some lower levels that are yellow, but then you can see some healthy levels that are green. And as you scroll down, you're going to be able to see one that is in blue that's saying, hey, I'm having some stale inventory. So you'll be able to have tremendous insights of whatever you're looking to do within Finale. And that's going to be the conditional formatting with views. Now, that's just the layer one of conditional formatting. This just using one column and comparing it. You could use the conditional formatting to compare other columns against each other and use that logic to then have more decisions based upon other logical ideas. It's fantastic. And I even think sometimes that we're just barely on the tip of the iceberg of the power of conditional formatting. It's one of our newest features. And one of the things I will tell you is that this feature will get more insights based upon what you guys need. What does a user going to use it for? And then we'll continue to build out these functionalities. And now, after we've gone through our views and we've seen our conditional formatting, the next place we're going to make a stop into is now we're going to get into some of our documentation. And so we're going to go to our reports, and now we're going to go to our documents. And so looking at a sales order, so when you print a sales order inside of Finale, if you have no branding whatsoever, this is how it looks like out of the box. You have the Finale blue, you have your company name and your company address sitting at the top. And I will tell you, it doesn't really do a whole lot in terms of branding. And you can do a level one branding with just a few clicks of the button. So if we're going to go back to Finale, then we're going to go up to the blue gear. Then we're going to go ahead and click our application settings. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add our company logo. So I'm going to drag my company logo, save those changes. And then after you have your company logo, then we're going to select a company color. So we're going to click our company color. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to select the color that I like for my company. And it's going to be a green. Click this, save those changes. And now if I go back and print that exact same document, one of the things I'm immediately going to see is that it goes from looking like a Finale sales order to now something that is brand specific, where you have my colors that blend in with my logo that really makes it jump out the page. And that's just going to be, the level one of the documentation. Now, we do have more advanced ways of customizing the documents. I have one here for you to give you an idea. So we're going to go back to our documents, and I have this custom sales order. And so we're going to print this one. So it's the exact same sales order that I just printed, but it's a little bit more customizable. And now what you're going to see is, bang, I have my logo. I have way more colors and boxes. And if you need to have a disclaimer or a warning embedded inside of your document, we can have it there. If you need to have more information from a custom field thrown on top of a document, then that could be populated directly here with no issues whatsoever. And that is just level two. Now, we're not just limited to the documents. You could actually print other things inside of Finale as well. There is, of course, our standard labels that you have within Finale, where you're able to just print a label directly from the system. So we're going to go ahead and print our chocolates. And so this is just going to be a standard label that you could throw on top of your packaging. And it doesn't really do much in terms of branding. But what we could also do is we could take the product images that we have and put them on your labels. You could put a QR code on here that has a link to your website. The power that you can do with some of this branding and documentation is really endless. And it's one of those things that I love to always do a deep dive into. And after you're now done with your documentation and your branding, now let's jump on to the reporting side. So if I go over here to back to my Finale, we're going to go to reports, and now we're going to get into our purchase and sales. So the first thing we want to do is when we're looking for a report, is we're trying to find some more information. And what we're going to use today is we're going to use our product sales total. So our product sales total is one, it's going to show you the information that you had for a certain time period. So we're going to go ahead and select the last 30 days. Let's see what we've done for sales. So now I'm going to have a list of all my SKUs with all of the orders and and how many units I took to fulfill those orders. Now what I want to do is I want to customize this document to give me more insight and more information. So I'm going to go back on over and we're going to click actions. And so now we're looking into the back end of Finale. And now what we're going to do is we're going to customize this document. And what we're going to do is we're going to look to gather a few more pieces of information. So what I want to know is not only how many units I sold, but I want to know where I sold them. So I'm going to add a column, and then I'm going to look for my source column. And so now this is going to say, okay, this is going to be the source of the sale. And now what I'm also going to do is I'm going to add another little touch point here, and this is going to be our grouping. And so we're going to group everything by our products, and we're going to find out what that means in just a second. And so now looking back, let's go ahead and run this for the last 30 days. I'm going to print this here. And now we're going to be looking at our data. So it's like, okay, I've sold these products, and now looking at it, I get more visibility in terms of where I sold it. And what this is so powerful because it keeps you from having to go into individual sales channels to see what the product's performance is. With just a click of the button, you could have it here. And then if you layer one of our email integrations, automations, instead of it you need to come in, you can have it delivered to you the first of the month, every Monday or every single morning to see what your performance is on every single one of these. And now this is going to look at your entire product SKU, entire product line. And we can add another layer. And this is going to come from our custom fields. So let's look at our low sugar. And so if we put our low sugar on here, so now this is going to filter those specific views to see what you're looking at for the low sugar. And now looking at it, okay, now I have a much more smaller list and I can see all of my low sugar items and I can see how they are performing on their individual channels. And it'll give you ideas of what you need to do. Because just looking here, I can see, okay, I have products that are doing well on Amazon, but my internal shop, I've only sold one. It tells me that it's not doing very well. Gives you performance metrics to work from. And now if I go back over to the report, now if you did all this work onto this and you actually want to save this and use this for a later time, you can click this actions here and you can click duplicate this report. And what that's going to do is going to take all of the information and all the work you just did and put it on another report. So if I click duplicate this report and we're going to say low sh sugar product sales. That's going to create a new report for us. And now you might be asking, where can I find that report? Let's click Save Changes. You might be asking, where can I find the report? And you're going to find it over here in the purchase and sales. And now we're going to see that it's right here underneath the top one. And if I were to go back into my original one, I'm going to see that, man, all of those changes are still made, but I still want to use it. You have the ability to just restore these back to what they originally were. And then that's going to take all that work that you've done and just return it back to its original form. But you've already saved your work in a new report, so it's already there available for you. And if you need to retire a report, it's as simple as going into the back end and changing where it's housed. So you can click this drop down and then move it to inactive. And what that's going to do is then going to put it into the inactive section and remove it from your specific area. And you're not going to see it here. But you could always find your retired reports within this inactive section. And that's going to be a conclusion of the demonstration that we're going to be seeing for today. You know, we saw our custom views, we saw the conditional formatting, we saw custom fields and reporting. And what that does is at the very stage, individually, you know, they're standalone, they do a lot. But when you layer them together, that's when you're really going to find the tailoring and the power of it throughout the system. And I will tell you, as watching accounts grow over time, they become more and more tailored into the system, and you see more and more customizations that happen. And thank you. And so I kind of moving through here, you know, we give you a thank you for everybody. And if you guys have any questions, one about any of the features that we're seeing, or if you're looking for some assistance about some of the customizations or features, you could always reach us at service@finaleinventory.com.
Great. Thanks so much, Jason. I really appreciate you going over some of these new features and tools. I picked out some questions from the attendees that I think we all could benefit from. Some of them were addressed specifically by Ryan in the chat, but I think it'd be good to talk about it in general since we have a little bit of time left. Jason, a few times the question came up regarding calculation. What can be calculated automatically in Finale, what cannot be calculated. For example, in custom fields, if they can be calculated automatically, and also fields and reports, if they are calculated. So can you talk about that? What is and is not automatically calculated in regards to what we talked about today?
Well, when it comes to the custom fields in terms of numbers, they're not auto calculated. The only things we do auto calculate are going to be our inventory numbers, our inventory metrics. Our custom fields are fantastic for filtering purposes. You know, fantastic for collecting data in the filtering purposes. When we comes to yeah, I guess you know it opens up the question is, you know, what are you looking to calculate? Do you want to what metric are you after to calculate? Because the other idea is that if you were to be using, say, a date because you want to calculate your lead times to see, okay, from original purchase date to something else, I would suggest that we have a Google Drive integration where we could drop all that data in there and then let that formula take over from that point.
Great. And when you were talking about stacking columns, there was a question that came up. This is simple but great. How to modify the column header name. Can you show us real quick or explain real quick how to do that, if possible?
Yeah, and so you can modify the header name. Let me go ahead and pop this over here. Let me pop back to my screen here. So if we were to go back to our products view here, one, it's a level of grouping that you can group into its own group. So if we were to go back here and customize this column, one, if you're going to see at the very top, so if we edit this lower column here, you see how you have this label. So we're going to go ahead and change this to Jason so you guys can see what this does. And so I'm going to claim this here. And what you're going to see is that Jason gets embedded. So you don't have to have a top level layer. And so if we come back over here and let's say that we want to remove this. We don't want a label. Put a smooth. Then we need to have a grouping on top of that. And so we're going to start a new column group. Sorry, put it here. And we'll call this flavors and save that column. Well, where'd it go? I lost her. Sorry. But you should be able to see the group on top of that one. And then we're going to merge here. and that should pop us all on top of each other there. So you have your top level flavors, and it's just going to be group on top of each other. Did that explain it for everybody there?
Great, thanks. Yeah. I'm gonna go to the next topic. And this came up a few times with a few different attendees. A few people asked about who could see what. So basically, after all of these edits and these modifications for customization, a few people asked about who can see these views. And are the edits that you're making to these screen universal to the entire company, to just one user, filtering on saved views? So can you talk about that for a moment?
Yeah, so the changes you make are saved specifically to individual views. However, if you are a user and you are within and you're looking at specific views, the views you are looking at on that page will stay with you throughout wherever you're viewing in Finale. So, for example, if I'm at the stock page and I'm using Jason's view and then I navigate over to the products view, product page and I jump back, that stock page is actually going to be saved there for you. But in terms of the views, it is a drop down is selecting your specific view, and it's typically going to be saved your per user of what you're going to be using. But if I change my view within the user, it would be there for the next time I come in.
Okay, thanks. The next one is a really great question. I don't know if we have the capability yet, but conditional formatting, can it show when you export it as an Excel? So if you colorize your screen or you have to do conditional formatting, I don't believe we can do this, but can you just clarify this, Jason?
I don't believe so. I know we could export the filter data, but I do not believe the formatting will follow with it.
Okay, thanks. Um, Another one I think is good, just to clarify for zebra striping, is there certain places this can appear and does not appear within Finale? So for zebra striping, where does it show, and is there anywhere that the striping does not show within Finale? And also, don't forget, if you do activate this zebra striping on your account, make sure you save and refresh your browser to make sure that your settings are updated.
That is correct. And it is a global setting. So if you set it there, you'll see it across all of the finale rows.
Great, thanks so much. Those are the most common questions that were for the better of the group. I'm sure a lot of you have specific questions that are about your specific business. So please don't hesitate to email service@finaleinventory.com or use the link that I posted at the very top of the discussion board for ongoing training. And again, if you're new to Finale and have not started yet, feel free to book a demo with an expert to talk about these features in more detail and learn more about Finale in general. As I said before, everyone will get a recording of this webinar later, so you can review what we talked about today. I would like to thank everyone for joining us today, and stay tuned for other future updates and improvements to Finale. Thanks, and have a good day.
Bye, everybody.
Bye bye.